I only accept hate comments in proper MLA format. Cite your sources. Boobs out, ass out. As naked as the day she was born. You're being an asshole. Stop it. Why did this have to exist? Let's just assume that turning yourself invisible is theoretically possible. I don't even want to talk about it. We just have to get through the bad first to get to the good. The few good things there were. This video is probably gonna get so many thumbs down. Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, we are doing another installment of what I've watched recently, where I discuss different television shows and movies that I have seen in the recent months. The last time I made one of these videos was September 2020, so today I will be going over all the major things I have watched in their entirety since then. And honestly, even though it's been 4 months since I last made one of these videos, some of this stuff, it feels like it has been forever since I watched it. So the first movie on my list of things I've watched recently, I can't say that much about because I've really forgotten all the specifics, all the details, and that's the new Rebecca movie on Netflix with Lily James. I was really excited to watch this because it's an adaptation of the book by Daphne du Maurier, and I really enjoyed the book, so I wanted to watch this movie. And I remember that I liked it for the most part, but don't really remember anything about the movie other than that it was based off the book. I think it was fairly accurate to the book, and the acting was good, I guess. There were also some really nice scenes when the characters are supposed to be in Monaco with some nice settings that I enjoyed. I don't know where that was filmed, it was very nice. But other than that, I really can't tell you much about the movie because I don't remember much about it. This is a story about an unnamed young woman, and she is working as a companion to a wealthy woman when she meets Maxim de Winter, a wealthy widower, and they fall in love and get married after a whirlwind courtship. He takes her back to his country estate Manderley in England, and our main character, she sees all over Manderley the memory of her husband's first wife, Rebecca, who died suddenly, and she begins to become obsessed with the dead Rebecca because she feels like her husband will never love her as much as he loved Rebecca, and the housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, really antagonizes the main character and tells her, "You're never gonna be like Rebecca." It is a classic thriller story, and I really did enjoy the book. There's also a Hitchcock version of this, I don't remember what year it's from, with Joan Fontaine, I think. I'm not sure. I've never seen that one because I haven't found it on demand. It's not on Netflix or anything like that. So if you do know a place where I can stream this movie or rent it, then do let me know in the comments because I would like to watch the Hitchcock version as well, and then maybe I can compare the two. But that's pretty much all I have to say about this because I remember I enjoyed the movie when I watched it, but I've kind of forgotten all of the specifics of it now. Obviously I remember the plot because I've read the book, but I can't tell you what I liked and disliked about the movie because it's just a blur. Next, I watched something else on Netflix, which was season 2 of the Unsolved Mysteries revival. I think actually it's not technically season 2, it's just the second half of season 1 with the episodes being released in 2 different batches a couple months apart. And while I really enjoyed the first group of episodes that I talked about in my last video, this batch just wasn't as interesting to me. It doesn't stick out as much in my mind. I think I can only clearly remember one episode of Unsolved Mysteries Part 2. I love true crime. I love watching true crime YouTube videos and documentaries on Netflix, true crime miniseries, but these were just not as interesting to me as the first batch of episodes they released. Okay, now we're gonna talk about a mini-series that really got my goat. I was really into this miniseries, and the ending was a huge, huge letdown, and that's The Undoing. This is an HBO miniseries that I watched with my mom, and it's a mystery thriller sort of series. It stars Nicole Kidman as a wealthy New York City mom and wife, and she's married to Hugh Grant, who plays a successful and charming doctor. They have a son together. And then another mother at the school where their son goes is found murdered, and the police begin to suspect that Hugh Grant is her murderer, and Nicole Kidman has to wonder, you know, did her husband really do it? Does she really know the person that she's married to? And if he didn't do it, then who did? It also stars Donald Sutherland as Nicole Kidman's dad, and I was really interested in this miniseries at first. I think it was well acted, it was interesting, and I had so many theories about what I thought happened to this woman and who I thought the killer was. There were so many different little things that I was theorizing about. My mom and I talked about this so many times about what we thought happened. And then when they revealed who the murderer was, it was, I think, the stupidest thing they could have done other than just not revealing who it was entirely. I don't want to spoil the ending of this, so I will choose my words carefully, but after the anticlimactic finish, I read reviews online about this finale, and there were mixed opinions. I saw one article that said the ending was good, and I understood where that person was coming from. However, I think the ending relies too heavily on making the audience feel duped, and I don't think any viewer likes to feel like they're being made a fool of. So that to me was extremely unsatisfying because it kind of made me feel like the show was just trying to say, haha, gotcha, made you look like an idiot, and nobody wants to be made to feel like an idiot by the thing that they're watching. Also, the woman who is murdered, I think her name was Elena? I don't really remember the characters' names, hence why I'm saying, oh, Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant, Donald Sutherland. I think her character was really a Latina stereotype, because she was not a character with a lot of depth, and she was extremely sexualized, so I did not like that. I mean, there was this really awkward scene in the first episode where she runs into Nicole Kidman in the gym locker room, and she is having a conversation with Nicole Kidman while standing in front of her, just completely naked. Boobs out, ass out, as naked as the day she was born, and it was extremely uncomfortable. What normal person would just walk up to another mother from the school where their child goes and have a conversation with them, not wearing a stitch of clothing? It was very weird, and I think her character definitely could have been developed more because her biggest character trait was she's sexy. No. So I feel like I'm being extremely negative in this video because the next thing I watched, I didn't love either, but I swear, before the end of the video, I will talk about some stuff I watched that I did like. We just have to get through the bad first to get to the good. The few good things there were. Unpopular opinion time, but I did not love the most recent season of The Crown. I'm sure you've heard of this show. It follows the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the current Queen of Great Britain. And this season, while it was well done, well acted, it just fell flat for me. I think one problem I have with this is that I hate pretty much every character. I can deal with having unlikable characters, but it's gotten to a point where I just don't like spending time with these characters, so to speak, because they have very few redeeming qualities. I am capable of sympathizing with them at times. Like, I did sympathize with Margaret Thatcher when she was at Balmoral. She's played wonderfully by Gillian Anderson. Gillian. It has a G, so I'm assuming it's Gillian, but maybe I'm saying her name wrong. I don't know. And I can even sympathize with Charles at points, which a lot of people can't and just say they hate him 100%. And I do sympathize with him at moments because his family did an awful thing to him, and had he been allowed to marry the woman he loved to begin with, then all of these horrible circumstances could have been avoided. But then I'll feel bad for him and he will do something so bratty that I'm like, hey, Charles, you're being an asshole, stop it. It's just gotten to a point where watching these characters is not pleasant because they're all horrible in their own ways, and they're definitely a messed up family in every possible way. Another problem I had with this season is it basically became the Diana show, and I mean, obviously, Princess Diana, she's an icon. I wasn't a huge fan of her going in because I was not alive during that time when Diana was princess, so I wasn't a part of that time. However, I did enjoy her character, and I learned interesting things about her by watching this season. However, because the entire season basically became about her, there were some characters who had absolutely nothing to do all season. Anne, she was mostly a non-factor. I think they should have done Princess Anne's kidnapping on the show. I didn't even know that she had been kidnapped, and that would have been so interesting to see on the screen. Prince Philip, he was there, and I love the actor they had as Prince Philip, and he really had nothing to work with. And Margaret, you have Helena Bonham Carter, and you give her nothing to do except for one episode? Really? A problem that I had with The Crown last season as well is that when it's good, it's really good, but there are also episodes that I honestly find so boring, where I watch the episode and I'm like, nothing interesting happened in the entire past hour. It has really high highs, and then it also has episodes that are just, why did this have to exist? I know this is an unpopular opinion, but this season of The Crown was just meh to me. It wasn't bad, exactly. It just missed the mark to me in the aforementioned ways. And I'm just so sick of all these royals and their whining and their selfishness, and I'm like, oh my god, this family, they need therapy. Now, finally, something that I can get excited about. I watched The Flight Attendant on HBO Max, and initially I was a little apprehensive about this. I didn't know if I was going to like it, but I was wrong because I ended up loving it. This is a show that really blends mystery, thriller, and comedy. I think it has similar vibes to Killing Eve, which is another show that I really like. It's the best thing that I can compare it to tonally, and it stars Kaylee Cuoco from The Big Bang Theory as a flight attendant. She is what I would call a high-functioning alcoholic, and on a flight, she meets a handsome man played by Dario Naharis #2 from Game of Thrones, and the two of them spend a night together in Thailand on a layover, and when she wakes up with him in bed the next morning, hungover with no memory of the night before, he's dead in bed next to her. So she doesn't know if she killed him or somebody else did, and she doesn't remember it. This show was so good. It kept me guessing, it was funny, it was well done. I enjoyed every episode, and unlike The Undoing, it totally stuck the landing. The reveal about what was really going on, I didn't see it coming. My mom and I watched it together, and when the truth came out, we were both like this. It was so good. And I'm a really hard person to fool when it comes to mysteries and thrillers because I read so many of them. I am suspicious of everyone when I read a mystery or watch a mystery TV show. And honestly, I feel like in retrospect, I should have seen it coming. The signs were there, but the show was so well done that it never crossed my mind. And yet, in retrospect, it makes perfect sense. That is the best ending a mystery or a thriller can have. You want it to make sense and know that you could have figured it out, but it was done so cleverly that you didn't. So this, for me, was fantastic. My one concern is that though this was originally a mini-series, because it was received so well, they're now doing season 2, and I don't know. I personally feel like this one season was so good, maybe they should just quit while they're ahead, because I feel like season 2 may not be as good as season 1. I'll definitely still check it out, but I don't know. The problem with Hollywood, in my opinion, is that it's all about money and not about when something has reached its natural conclusion, but we don't need to go into that today. This video is already long enough. Okay, so now we need to talk about a show that I hated, and I am 100% in the minority about this because everybody else loves it. I see it everywhere, and this show made me so mad. After today, I never want to talk about it again because I'm emotionally exhausted, and that's Bridgerton on Netflix. I was so excited for this show because it was filming in Bath when I was studying abroad there, and I was so excited to watch it. It's a Shonda Rhimes production. It's like Jane Austen meets Gossip Girl, two of my favorite things. I was expecting to love this, and I did not love it. I did not love anything about it. I guess that's not exactly true. I did like the diverse casting. I thought that was super cool. They did that. And I did love the Duke's aunt. She was awesome. She was the best character. However, I don't even want to talk about it, but we gotta. First of all, I wasn't loving the show to begin with. Some of the characters didn't really land for me. I thought it was just like so cheesy in points. Some of the dialogue didn't feel real. It's definitely not historically accurate, but I mean, I'm willing to forgive it that because this isn't a serious period drama. It's like a fun TV show adapted from a romance novel. So even though there were lots of things that were not really historically accurate, you know, that's okay. This isn't that type of show. The thing that absolutely pissed me off about this show was the depiction of marital rape. I made a whole video talking about this because it was so upsetting to me, and I know many people who watch the show were triggered by it, and the way this scene is framed is absolutely disgusting, and the people who were in charge of writing this scene should be ashamed of themselves. Honestly, they should. They should be ashamed. The main female character rapes the main male character, and instead of acknowledging her wrongdoing or having her apologize, the show makes it all about how he wronged her. I've heard several people say that it gaslights the viewers, and I honestly couldn't finish the show because I was so disgusted. And when I saw that the show never acknowledges that what she did was rape and makes it seem like she was justified, I just could not support that show any further. So I made a whole video talking about this scene in Bridgerton and why it is so problematic, and also some other shows that did the same thing. And I did get hate comments for making this video. That's fine, you know, if you want to say that I'm an effing idiot or a bitch, I don't really care what you have to say. If that's your best argument, like, then it's not a very good argument. I mean, I know I'm neither of those things, so if you think I am, I mean, I don't know you, you don't know me, why should I care? It gave me a laugh, if anything. The thing is, I can't make the decision for you if you watch Bridgerton or not, you know? I think it's important to have these discussions, but ultimately, if the show brought you happiness and you enjoy it, that's your choice to continue watching it, and I am in no position to police other people's television. You know, you can choose to support whatever you want. Personally, I could not finish the show, and even though it was recently renewed for season 2, I will definitely not be tuning in. However, if you choose to support it with your viewership, that is a personal choice, and, you know, you have to decide what you want to do, who you want to support and who you don't. I just think it's important that we have these discussions to raise awareness for these issues, because just the responses I've seen online about why this wasn't rape show me how little the average American understands what rape is. I've seen people say, well, it wasn't violent, so it's not rape, and you saying it is trivializes actual rape. No, rape comes in many forms. I've seen people say, well, men can't be raped. Yes, they can. I've seen people say, well, he's bigger than her, so he could have pushed her off if he really wanted to. He wanted it. Would you say that to a woman who came to you and said, hey, this man raped me? Would you say to her, well, why didn't you fight back harder? You must have wanted it? No, it's a huge, disgusting double standard. And I think it's important to discuss this issue. So if you want to watch that video, I will link it down below. And ultimately, I have no problem if you want to watch the show, if you enjoy it, if you like it, that's up to you, you know? I'm not here to police your television. I just think we have to talk about this issue and how our society misunderstands consent. And consent's very important, so we need to discuss these issues even if they're uncomfortable. I'll get off my soapbox now. I've already been going on. It just makes me so angry, so watch that full video if you haven't and you want to hear more of my thoughts. This video is probably going to get so many thumbs down because I dared to insult Bridgerton, but, you know, I just want to have these discussions, you know? It's important to talk about. You can still watch the show if you want. That's up to you. And you're entitled to your opinion or I'm entitled to mine, so that's it. I am never talking about the show again. Never, ever, ever, okay? Next, I watched The Invisible Man, which is I guess you would say it's a thriller film starring Elizabeth Moss, which is loosely based off a short story, or is it a novel? A story of some length by H.G. Wells, though it's a very loose adaptation, and Elizabeth Moss plays a woman escaping an abusive relationship, and then she is tormented by an invisible man that she can't see because he's invisible. Why? I was gonna say an invisible man that she can't see, like duh, that's what invisible means. Point is, she thinks her ex has managed to turn himself invisible so he can still torment her after she left him. Overall, I enjoyed this movie. It was definitely suspenseful. There were some things I didn't see coming. The restaurant scene, that's all I'll say. If you have seen this movie, you know what I mean. I was shocked. Legitimately shocked. I did question the logistics of some of this, and I'm not talking about the possibility of invisibility. Okay, let's just assume that turning yourself invisible is theoretically possible. Let's just assume that's legit. Was the invisible man just like standing outside the house, waiting for someone to open the door so he could run in behind them? Was he spying on them and like, oh, the spare keys in the planter, now I know? Did they not lock the windows and he was like crawling in the windows? I was wondering this when I was watching the movie. And maybe that's stupid, but I was like, how is he getting into the house? Is he just running in really fast behind them before they can shut the door? There was also a few things in the ending that I didn't really understand, and I didn't pick up my first watch, my only watch, until I went on Wikipedia and read the full plot summary, and I realized there was a detail I missed that just didn't communicate to me properly. But overall, I did enjoy this. I did have a couple quibbles with it, but overall it was a really entertaining movie, very suspenseful. Finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video, I bowed to peer pressure and watched The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, and I'm glad that I did. Originally, I wasn't super interested in this when I first heard about it. I was like, okay, so it's a show about chess? I don't know chess, I don't know the rules, I've never played it, but the show actually is really interesting. No knowledge of chess required. Even though the main character, Beth, is a chess prodigy, it's really a show that's about her, not about chess itself. Following her upbringing, she was in a girls' home. She struggles with drug addiction, with abandonment. And so what makes the show so good is how it follows her on this life journey, her struggles, and how she eventually finds success as a chess player. So even if you know nothing about chess, the show actually is really interesting, it's well acted, and I thoroughly enjoyed this miniseries. So that is everything that I have watched recently. There were high highs and low lows. Let me know in the comment section if you watched any of the things that I did in these past couple months and what you thought of them. I only accept hate comments in proper MLA format. Cite your sources. My social media links are down below if you want to follow me on Tumblr, Instagram, or be my friend on Goodreads. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a badass rest of your day. Bye, and I'll see you in the next video.